3,000. History with an exclamation.
Company for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied. The Yankees are champions of baseball.
All right. Well, we were handed our first loss of the year. So let's discuss. The Knicks last night lost 115 to 107 in South Beach, Miami. Right out the gate here, I will let you know if you are new here to the show. There aren't many things in the world. You know what? Let's rephrase that. There are a lot of things in the world that piss me off. But I think at the top of that list, at least in sports, losing to the Miami Heat has got to be top 5. I cannot stand losing to those rats. I hate trashy ghetto Miami, even though I've never been there, and even though I have family that lives, I think, close to there. But I hate their fan base. I hate their organization. Obviously, I hate Pat Riley. And I don't like seeing them win, even if it's against the Charlotte Hornets. I don't like seeing Miami happy. So losing to them as a Knicks fan doesn't make me happy, which is why I am recording this Monday morning. Okay. And I didn't get on there and rant last night because it would have been a lot more explicit. But you know what? And I don't know if this makes it better or worse. I don't think the Knicks played a terrible game last night. I actually thought they played decently. At least offensively, I thought they played decently. I'm trying to see if... Okay, we're good. I almost thought we were on mute there. I did. I thought the Knicks process was good, and I just thought sometimes the execution's not there. And I know already, listen, I'm on Twitter, but I'm not even going to try to look at my feed because I know exactly what it's going to be. And I knew immediately once, like as the second half got worse and worse, I'm sitting here watching the Knicks get smoked. And honestly, I couldn't help but laugh because I already started to see the narrative start to form. And it's going to be like this all year when you get these types of games. And when I say these types of games, I mean, like, I'm a Yankees fan too. And it just reminds me so much of when usually older fans complain about home runs, but only on nights when they don't hit enough home runs. And they say nothing about the benefits of the home run the other, 80% of the time when it does work. It's going to be the same thing all year because of this new look offense with the ultra old school Knick fan, or maybe just the irrational Knick fan, when they don't knock down their threes. Because that's what this offense is now, right? Listen, it's a part of their offense. Why? Because it's what wins. Just like the home run ball wins in the MLB, the 3-point ball wins. This is called motion offense. Just like when the Golden State Warriors had their reign, just like when the Celtics were peaking a couple years ago, motion offense is built on trust, spacing, and shot volume. Okay? The process works because positive regression happens when there's real talent. The Knicks lost last night because they didn't cash in on those 3-point looks. They took, let's see what the final number was, 50-something, I know. Let's stall for a second here. They attempted last night 54 3-point attempts, which is awesome. You love seeing them go up, but they didn't knock them down. They knocked down just 15 of them. That's why they lost. Not the attempts. It was the mix. They got fantastic looks, and they have been getting some pretty good looks all year long. That should tell you right there, this is the way. If they didn't get good looks last night and they just kept chucking and missing bad 3-point attempts, just low quality looks, sure, different story. I can agree with you. But if you're telling me the process was bad just because they didn't cash, I think you're looking at the game with a very poor view and you're just very too simple and you're not paying attention to details. They got good looks and they missed. They relied on efficient shooters to eventually come around, and they just never did last night. To criticize that, I feel like, and this was a post I saw on Twitter, it was perfectly put, to criticize that is to ignore randomness and defensive alignments, right? And you got to give credit sometimes to the Miami Heat, because Miami's a very switchable defense. They're tough and switchable, especially without Tyler Hero. There are no weak points to attack, right? Jaquez, Powell, even Mitchell at the point of attack, as good as Brunson was last night. So, yes, could they have used Towns on the post more to exploit when he had Wiggins and Jaquez on him? Maybe. But Miami's a tough defense. And overall, I did not hate the Knicks process at all last night. Were there some tough threes? Maybe OG took a couple of them. Maybe Brunson. I don't know. But overall, these were really good looks. So if you're struggling to adopt now, I have advice for you. Either hang tight or jump off, because you're not going to like what's coming. There's going to be a lot of 3-point attempts this year. Welcome to 2025, 2026 ball. There are a lot of good things that I saw within half-court offense last night. There were. I think early in the game, the Knicks did a nice job using Ariel Huck-Porty as a playmaking hub. You know, he was in the starting lineup last night. I think Brunson's first 3-pointer that he made came off an off-ball action with Huck. It was a handoff. But then they kind of went away from that later, and I thought they could have used Cat as an operator on the pinch post. But overall, again, I thought the Knicks did a pretty good job of using screening and motion to get good looks. You know, I thought Brunson, there were some really nice possessions where he was using those guard-to-guard screens to get the switch he wants. That forced Miami to send help to him at times. There was a possession that he got the Fontecchio switch. The Heat didn't like that. They sent help to him. That led to a swing for an OG corner that he knocked down. The Knicks just put Miami in rotation off the double. So that was good offense. You liked seeing some more. The Knicks like running those empty corner pick and rolls when Kolek is in. They like to use that, and then they pair it with a weak side 45 cut. A lot of get actions with 45 cuts. You know, there was a play for Kolek. It was to open him up for 3. I don't know the name of the set. I wish I did. I'm not an X's and O's expert, but there was a Clarkson Towns high pick and roll in the middle, followed by Towns goes into set a couple of pin-in screens on the second side, which opens up Tyler Kolek to knock down a wing 3. Really good action. And I thought overall Towns' aggressiveness and his willingness to get off good 3-point looks early on was very positive. I loved seeing him let it fly, especially from range. He's really good deep. And that's what I want to get into here. I think looking back, and I'm going to shout out, if you don't follow this kid, follow at Shaq's NBA on Twitter, because he's a great follow. If you're trying to get into the details of the game and the X's and O's, he's helped me learn a lot. He wrote a quick article on his Substack, and I took a read. And so when I went back to watch film, because of everything I read in that article, I saw exactly what he was talking about, and he put some clips in the article too. But just breaking down how the Knicks were using Towns last night, and I think that was one of the more encouraging signs from the game. There was a clear adjustment from the first 2 games in how the Knicks played Cat and deployed him in half-court offense. Instead of putting him on the corner within their weave series offense, they placed him on the slot. Cat was in the slot last night, where usually that's where your guards or wings will bring the ball up. They'll have two of those guys bring the ball up in the slot. A lot of the time it's Mikal and Brunson. But what they did last night was they had Cat in the slot. And that makes a big difference in how the Knicks are going to be able to optimize Towns. Using him more as a scorer and a playmaker this way. Usually, again, the primary action begins with your two guards in a double slot handoff. But last night, you saw a lot of Brunson Towns together in those weave series setups. And that's going to help a lot because Towns is really good as a trailer getting downhill because he can, one, pull from very deep when he's in momentum like that, or he can attack the basket with momentum, right? You saw him let it fly a couple of times early on when the defense went under, right? For his second, I think it was his second three-point take, Ware goes under the ball screen, plenty of room for Cat. He shoots it as he should have. And you're going to see him attack the basket when the defense goes over, or if they're just in one-on-one and semi-transition. That's really good. Cat's amazing at attacking opposing bigs when he has the 5 on him. He's really good at attacking them. That's why we like him in those 5-out lineups. But also, Cat's able to initiate actions this way. When he's at the 4, you're playing 4 out, 1 in, or just when he's at the 4 overall, he usually has the wing on him or just a non-big, like Bam Adebayo was on him a lot last night at the 4. That helps because they usually don't switch those actions, but instead they're going to choose to fight over that, which is going to clear up the lane for a handoff. And you saw there was a possession in the first quarter, I think it was. There was a Towns, Mikal Bridges DHO. They run DHO. It puts the defender behind the hips of Mikal, who's just super effective when he's in motion like that, getting downhill, and it led to an easy bucket for him. And when you have your good spacing wings on the corner, like OG and like Mikal Bridges, when those two guys are spaced out on the corners, the Knicks are able to get very effective sprays. And you're going to hear that word a lot. You've already heard it a lot, sprays. Mike Brown loves to use this word because it's a big part of his offense. It's all about, for him, touching the paint to open up the perimeter and open up some drives. Getting sprays, I think, is much easier when you've got wings who are going to be able to stampede the catch and kick it out, as opposed to someone like Towns, who we know how that can go. So I think the way they deployed Cat last night was very important, and I think going forward, that's got to be the way. So offensively, I didn't have major issues with how the Knicks were attacking offensively. I would even say I liked the way they played. It wasn't a great defensive showing. All in all this season, the Knicks defense through 3 games has been pretty solid. Last night, Miami scored 115. It could have been better, but that's not a lot of points. I just felt the Knicks really struggled with their quick motion offense at times, kind of similar to how the Knicks run. Just multiple actions within a single possession, a lot of flow, a lot of pace, and the Knicks had trouble with that. If it wasn't for OG Anunoby, who was spectacular in help coverage last night, whether he was bringing help from the strong side, flying over to the weak side, recovering, just saving guys' asses like Towns. If it wasn't for OG, the Knicks probably don't allow 115. They probably allow 140. So I thought he was a real bright spot. Brunson, I thought, struggled. You saw him go under on a few ball screens, which allowed some big threes. That's tough. He does that a lot. That's part of his defensive flaws, especially when he's fatigued. He'll go under the screen. I thought Mikal Bridges definitely had some good moments off the ball. I think his help defense remains very sharp. I think his ball denial was pretty strong on Powell. Did struggle when he got to the point of attack on Powell, though. Powell had a couple of blow-bys. He's very explosive. He's very physical for Mikal. He got to the basket for some easy looks, some finishes, some fouls, tough 3-pointers. So the Knicks definitely missed Deuce McBride, who didn't play last night. Definitely missed him at the point of attack. And obviously they're still without Mitch, who I don't know if he's ever going to play again. I don't know what's going on there. But yes, I mean, speaking of their bigs, Towns had a rough defensive game. First 2 games, no issue with it. Last night, same old stupidity and the lack of discipline returned. Just fouling instead of playing defense. Stupid stuff that you don't, like unnecessary stuff. And he had some bad fouls on offensive end too. Some screening. Yabu was also bad. He's been bad. He looks very out of shape, very heavy. Just doesn't look ready yet. Mike Brown's trying him at the 5. It's not been looking good. He's just very slow. He's like no vertical. He's glued to the floor. Like he's missing layups. He's getting blocked. He's supposed to be switchable, but he can't really move well laterally. So you're not finding success switching him. And he's just not making efforts when he's off the ball to close out to shooters. A couple of times last night, he's like deep in the paint. Guy gets the ball at the top. He's not even making an effort to close. It's embarrassing. Now the shot's eventually going to start to fall with Yabu. I do believe in his shot, but obviously right now it looks super concerning for a guy who's not in shape at the same time. But yeah, I thought the defense struggled. You know, I think Miami, their offense is not something I think should give the Knicks issues. It's a weird offense. I thought the Knicks should have been a lot better. They don't run ball screen actions much at all. They run very little pick and roll. We've seen the Knicks struggle with the opposite usually, you know, where it's like Indiana or Boston when they were at their peak, you know, running, just spamming stack and Spain pick and roll actions and double drags and staggers and ghost screen actions, etc., to put the Knicks in a blender. The Heat weren't running a lot of ball screen actions last night. They were just beating the Knicks in a lot of other ways. But so I thought the defense could have been a lot better. You know, Mike Brown taking some heat for the rotations last night. We could touch on that really briefly when we return from our first break here on the show. Stay with us. Be back in a sec.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation. Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
Okay. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to episode 916 of BD4. I appreciate you all tuning in. Interesting rotations last night, as we've been getting interesting rotations to start the season. The depth last night, though, wasn't good. I didn't like the second unit. I believe they were a minus 46. Jesus. There were some questionable lineups. But again, this is what all of us asked for. Experimentation, right? Especially in October basketball. They could have did it the Tibbs way, right? Where if certain lineups last night weren't working, you damn well know that Tom Thibodeau would have pulled that lineup right away for the old reliable, right? And just would have stuck to his top 6 guys. But because there were a lot of long stretches in the second half where the game got out of hand, where the Knicks weren't looking good. And there were lineups out there where it was no Brunson, and there was no Cat, and there was no Mikal, right? A lot of those lineups were a little too long. Tibbs would have never done something like that. But in all, I'm not going to complain about that because this is what we asked for, giving the younger guys a shot. And sometimes the younger guys are going to be younger guys and they're not going to play well. Maybe in the future, if Yabu continues to look like this, you adjust and you put OG at the 5. Maybe in a game last night when you had Bam at the 5 without Ware on the floor, that's when you go to OG. Or you play Jamison, who looked good on opening night, very switchable, very quick back out to the perimeter. Sure. But again, I think when we look back at it bigger picture, you're going to see a lot more of this because he's not going to play his starters 43 minutes a night. And while it might lose you a game in October, it might pay off in the big picture, right? At the end of the season, when guys are more, fresher legs like Mikal Bridges, and that might help. That's the idea here with his rotation. So we'll see. But I'm not going to sit here and blame Mike Brown for their loss as maybe a couple of people are already doing. These are the rotations that he's experimenting with. He's still trying to get a feel for who his guys are. And yeah, Kolek's still adjusting to NBA level defense. Jordan Clarkson is Jordan Clarkson. He's here to get paint touches. You just hope he finds that passing balance more. We talked about Yabu. These guys are bench players, end of the bench reserves for a reason. They're going to be up and down. So I think in all, they just didn't knock down their open looks, and defensively they didn't play up to par. But before we wrap this one up, let's hand out our game balls because we do that win or lose in the regular season. And let's start with the starting 5. I think Jalen Brunson deserves a shout out in this one. I'm going to hand the game ball to him. Last night, Jalen Brunson, 37 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, did have 3 turnovers, shot 54%, 46% from 3, and he knocked down all 4 free throws. He was a +6 across 35 minutes. So Jalen Brunson, in his 3rd game of the season, has gotten a game ball already twice. So a good performance from him. He had a red-hot 3rd quarter to keep the Knicks in it. Looks good early on here. It's nice to see him get off to a pretty good start. I know he struggled on opening night with his shot, but I do think he's looked good in all 3 games, and he's starting to find his touch both at the basket and on the perimeter as well. So good for Jalen Brunson, who's looking sharp early on here. Going to the second unit, let's hand out the game ball to Josh Hart. Now, kind of like in Josh Hart's debut, didn't look amazing, but he still did a lot of good things. He makes contributions without having to score the basketball. That's why you like Josh Hart sometimes. 6 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. That should say 1 steal. That's a spelling error there. If you're watching. 40% from the field. Again, he missed both of his threes, missed a free throw. That's the concerning thing right now with Josh Hart. The finger thing. I have a feeling this is going to get to a point where he's going to have to get surgery on the finger at the worst time possible because he tried to toughen it out and didn't get it when he was supposed to. I'm going to give him some more time because this is his camp, right? He's just working his way back. He didn't play much of the preseason. But the 3-pointers, the free throws, they're both missing. He's had some ugly bricks, maybe an air ball even. It doesn't look good, the shot. There's not a lot of arc on it. We'll see where that ends up, but hopefully it's bigger than it's smaller than I'm making it out to be. But again, he's doing some good things out there. When he doesn't have the opposing big on him, he looks really good with that first unit. Obviously plays well with the bench unit, pushes the pace, grabs the rebounds, does all the Josh Hart stuff. Is he a little slow on his closeouts? We've grown to, have to deal with that. That's who he is. But yeah, for how bad the bench played last night, I think Josh Hart was the best part of that second unit. So I'm going to hand him his second game ball in as many games. So good for him. Up next for the New York Knickerbockers, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. in Milwaukee to play the Bucks. So get it done. Get it done. I don't exactly know what they're doing so far this year. Obviously, you got the drama with Giannis. I feel like he's in drama every year and ends up staying there. But I do think he'll get moved eventually. Just don't know when or where. But the Milwaukee Bucks are off to a 2-1 start like the Knicks. They also lost their most recent game like the Knicks. Let's see who they've played. Their schedule here. I don't know if I'm looking at preseason or regular season. Here we go. Yeah, they won on opening night. They beat Toronto. And they lost last night to the Cavs. So they are coming off a loss just like the Knicks. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 40 and 14. Damn, last night in a loss. So, yeah, we'll see. It'd be nice to have Mitch for a matchup like the Bucks, right? But I don't know if he's there. There have been no updates on him. Obviously, we know how this organization works. When they talk to the media, they don't talk. So we'll see what happens there. But let's wrap this one up now with our trivia question of the day, and then we'll get out of here. And our trivia question, if I can pull it up here, is in the 1999 playoffs, the Knicks entered as the 8th seed and upset Miami in the first round. Who hit the series-winning shot in Game 5? Okay. In the 1999 playoffs, the Knicks entered as the 8th seed and upset Miami in the first round. Who hit the series-winning shot in Game 5? So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout-out in the next episode in front of all 2 of our listeners. I appreciate you guys, though, for tuning in for real. Anybody who does, it means a lot. Our new subscribers who've come on YouTube, I noticed you. Thank you to you guys. And I always appreciate the views, the clicks, the likes, the shares, whatever you guys are doing. I do appreciate it. So I'll see you soon. Go Knicks, and hopefully we can get back on track and improve to 3-1 and not 2-2. It looks a lot different. It does. So let's go win a game. See you later. Appreciate it. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.